Hi, we're Option Conservation, and this is the Shoot Room Sessions. This episode of the Shoot Room is filmed in front of a live studio audience. That bit was said at the request of today's guest. Hi, Ross.
Hi, Rich. Really good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the Shoot Room. Who are you and what do you do?
My name's Ross Simpson. I'm a partner at Burger Salmon in the real estate department. I specialise in land and rural property. I have a range of clients. Your kind of traditional land and estate owners, some institutions and pension funds. Your kind of traditional kind of farming partnerships and family trusts, conservation groups and charities as well. And over the past few years, I've been involved in some really exciting projects working alongside likes of Oxygen Conservation and other parties as well, doing kind of stuff at scale, big kind of land acquisitions and disposals, and increasingly doing the kind of, environmentally beneficial land use projects, which is the kind of thing I get really excited about.
I can see that. I love the excitement.
Absolutely, yeah.
So can you give us a quick potted history of your career? Take us through if there was a contents page of your life, what would that look like?
The chapters of my career story. I think, it would start with study and training. That would be our chapter one. I studied in Glasgow University, and then I made the move to Edinburgh, and I trained in Edinburgh, a really great, fantastic training firm in Edinburgh where I made lifelong friends, and it very interesting going into my traineeship. I very much went in one person and came out another in terms of what I thought I wanted to be and what I thought I was going to do.
That. So what changed and why?
There was a lot going on, a lot to unpack there. I think I thought I wanted to be a courtroom lawyer. I thought I wanted to eventually move back to Glasgow and to the West Coast.
I thought I wanted to be Ally McBeal.
I'm kind of, I have to go a little further back in time than Ally McBeal. I don't know if you remember LA Law. There's this shot in there, but then I didn't.
I remember the theme tune, the intro, but not the actual.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But then I was so young watching it that I didn't get the LA Law bit. I thought it was La Law, so that was my first introduction, or first exposure to kind of legal stuff, and I thought that's what I want to do. I want to be in court, and I want to be doing that kind of thing. But I ended up spending a proportion of my time in my traineeship doing court stuff in the litigation department. But actually, what I really enjoyed was the property stuff. It was just really tangible. It was stuff that was really firmly rooted in the real world. It was really positive. I was making things happening. Deals were coming together and making stuff happen. It really worked for me. That's what I wanted to do.
But I think that's such a feature that we hear with everyone starting their career now. They want what they do to matter. They want it to be tangible. They want to be able to draw a line between what they do and their impact.
Yeah.
Sounds like you found that early.
Absolutely. And particularly, eventually I started my career in commercial real estate, but then moved into land and estates. And I think I found that's really where my passion lied, and just the idea that land, there's that saying about they're not making any more of it. It's this finite resource, and there's all this demand in the land and estate sector as to how we should be using land and for what purposes and for what reason. And it's just a really exciting area to be in. And so I got into the Greenwelly law world of agriculture and estates and rural property.
Nice. So from there, where next?
Where next? Well, getting into the Greenwelly stuff involved a move to Oban. Life and career took me to Argyllshire, and I joined a little practice up there serving clients in the kind of West Highlands and the islands of Scotland. It was interesting because it wasn't part of the game plan at all to end up there. But I did, but for that move and but for that job, I wouldn't have got the taste or the exposure to rural property and the Greenwelly stuff.
And when you were in that job, did you think this is me for 10 minutes or this is me for 10 years? Or
I think it was definitely a temporary move in my head. But yeah, it but for that move, I wouldn't be where I am now, and I wouldn't have got that taste for the rural stuff.
So from Oban, when it?
I got back to Edinburgh, practiced there for the best part of about 5 years, and then the opportunity came along to join Burgess Salmon in Bristol. Complete blind move. I didn't have any connections in Bristol whatsoever, and there was the opportunity to dual qualify as well. So I'm dual qualified. So, England, Wales, and Scotland are different legal jurisdictions. Burgess Salmon were able to come down to Bristol as a relocation package.
So you were with Burger Salmon already?
I wasn't. No, this is me working in another firm and made the move down.
How does that work in your world? Are jobs advertised? Are you approached by it? How does that process work in
as I say, it really wasn't part of the game plan again. It's all these kind of, I don't know, that my career has been all these little kind of unexpected turns of the road, things that I wasn't expecting to happen, and not part of the game plan, but I'm so glad that I did, go through those doors as they presented themselves. But no, it was literally a job advertisement in the Journal of the Law Society of Scotland. Come down, this is before Burgess Salmon had opened its Edinburgh office. Looking for people to come down, and I went for it. And it was really interesting. I think it really has been the making of me. There's something about the culture at Burgess Salmon. I absolutely love it. It's a great bunch of people to work with. There's just a fantastic culture there. I've managed to dual qualify, and I'm doing work now that I would never have dreamed of being able to do at a scale that I would never have dreamed of, with some fantastic, passionate clients like your good selves.
That's very kind. Thank you. It's interesting, isn't it, about so you're at a point in your career where already qualified up in Scotland. How did you view the prospect of, presumably the dual qualification part of it's a chunk of work again, additional study and examinations and stuff?
Yep.
So were you thinking, okay, when I finished academia and finished PhD, if you'd have told me to go back and do another one, in fact I did. When I was working in the public sector, the head of economics rocked up and said, "Oh, we've got this PhD we'd like Rich to do." And I was like, I've already got one. I don't want to do that. Why on earth would I? It's the worst thing I'd possibly want to do.
Yeah.
But you went, no, I'm happy to go again.
Absolutely. No, I was really up for it. I think, and I really enjoyed my time in Edinburgh. I really enjoyed what I was doing, but there was something that was seeking another challenge and really wanting to take it to another level, that next level. And I definitely found that at Burgess Salmon.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So one of my questions when people have had that, I was going to ask you about why law and why property law, but you've kind of covered that. How hard was it to get here, Ross, in terms of amount of hard work and the effort you had to put in?
It's a funny question because I don't really see it as having been hard to get here. I think for sure there has been some hard work. There's been some high stakes, high stress kind of moments, and a few long hours and a fair few shifts have been put in to get here. But I do think, so much of getting to where you want to be and being happy where you are is about finding that job that you love and love what you're doing. And so much of that I think comes back to like attitude, and attitude just being that little thing that makes a huge difference. And if you've got the right attitude and not striving, not being comfortable, but striving until you find what it is you're meant to be doing and what you should be doing, or just what you enjoy doing. I think that's so important. I think as well, the best opportunities that have come my way in terms of my career as well have probably been when I've been most myself. I think that's been really important too. I think there was a lot of times probably in my early career that I was probably pretending to be something that I'm not. Lots of self-editing, lots of trying to be who I think other people want me to be. And gosh, that's exhausting. It really is. And you don't perform at your best in those types of environments. So I think being authentic is so important.
It's an Oscar Wilde quote, life's hard enough without adding impersonation to the list of skills you need.
Absolutely.
I totally hear that. And I think I've had lots of chapters in my life where I've kind of woke up and gone, I was a bit of a prick then. Let's change those bits I don't like about myself and go again and go again.
Yeah.
And you speak to some people who are like, oh no, I've always been the same person. That kind of worries me a bit. I'm like, either you nailed it first time when you were like a teenager or you haven't learned any lessons. Because I've changed 10 times as I've learned stuff and improved on things and realised that I wasn't doing things in the right. Principally, meeting my wife and her teaching me how to be a plausible person thank you, Helen, was hugely important.
That's so important. I think that ability to flex and to pivot as well. That job move to Argyllshire and braving it, moving down to Bristol. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Going with it. I think there's a lot of. I think serendipity plays a role as well, and a lot of this too. And I feel very lucky and fortunate that stuff has come my way and opportunities have come my way. But I think we all maybe have a place in terms of cultivating the conditions for serendipity to expose itself. I think that's really important.
There's a concept about surface area of luck.
Mm-hmm.
And if you work harder, your surface area for luck to stick to you is bigger.
Yeah.
So for me, it was throughout and the reason I asked you about the hard work and stuff is the amount of meetings, events, things I went to that were pointless.
Yeah.
And you go to 20 of them because 2 of them are good.
Yeah.
And you chase down every loose end. Whereas if you only do 10, you've missed that opportunity for luck.
Absolutely. You've got to put yourself out there. You really do. And it can be scary. It's not easy. And, I still suffer from nerves and anxiety.
What makes you nervous other than coming in?
Yeah. What makes me nervous? I don't know. I think it's just that usual stuff of do have I got it all together? Have I got all my thoughts in my head and clear, and do I know what I want to be saying and how I want to present myself? Well, there's all those kind of things that always go through your head.
And whether to wear your glasses on camera.
Whether to wear my glasses or not, this was a big decision.
We did 15 minutes on that before the camera started.
I thought I'd keep it as a prop just in case I want to. Yeah.
Lovely. So, how did you first hear about OC, and what did you think when you heard about it?
So we made contact really early on in the kind of oxygen conservation story. You guys were looking for legal advisors, and we had the opportunity to pitch to oxygen conservation. It's quite funny. I think I just made partner. It was the middle of lockdown and all
still
that.
COVID world, wasn't it?
Still COVID world. And this RFP lands on my desk. It's one of these ones that you just pick up and you just think to yourself, I've got to win this. I've got to win this. There was that drive, there was that ambition, there was that energy just leaping out from the pages of the RFP. And yeah, that was my first encounter. I just thought, I want to be working with these guys.
Big shout out to George and Matt. Thank you. So I didn't even touch that. That was pre-me. So that was in the world where me and Dan were jetting around the country, electric car, not jetting, and trying to find land. And George and Matt were ahead of schedule, looking for the right type of advisors to help us complete on those acquisitions. Yeah. So I remember getting asked to join this call with, so we had called it different legal firms, but getting to have the call with you guys. And I remember you being, I can't remember who else was on the call, but I just got told, can you come and just talk about conservation for 5 minutes? Because George and Matt were like, they weren't quite have heard anything like this before. But I just remember like, boom. Did I start talking about unicorns on the first call?
I'm not sure it was the first call, but we quickly got onto unicorns.
An important feature of what we do. Shout out to the gingerbread unicorn that brought us a gift. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
The interesting thing about you is, in some ways, you've been with us almost as long as like the longest serving employees, because there was me and Dan when we first met you. Now we're 25 as a team. Yeah. And through that process, we've seen so much. Yeah. So we've done 11 transactions. Well, 10, one in the works.
One in the works.
Yeah. 10 transactions. Which has been the hardest?
I don't want to pick out one
as 2 or 3 hard
as being the hardest. I don't know. I think maybe what I might pick out is what has made certain transactions hard or difficult,
go on then.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll tell you which one I think the hardest was, but go on.
Okay, interesting. Because I think each site that we've looked at has had its opportunities and challenges. It's had its commercial, technical issues, and we've had to resolve them and work together to make it happen. I think the thing that has frustrated sometimes, on occasion, has maybe been lack of seller readiness. That has been a problem on 1 or 2 transactions where maybe they're not ready to sell. In some instances, I think has possibly have there been instances possibly of that, but just a lack
in
of
2 ways, right? So emotionally ready to sell, and legally and logistically ready to sell?
Absolutely. And I think, that first point is so important because I do act for buyers and for sellers, and I get acting for sellers. These can be farming or family estates that have been in the family for multi-generations.
Yeah.
This is a big decision. It's not just a financial one. It's a hugely emotional one. So I get it. But I do think, when you've made that decision, that sometimes very difficult decision to sell, you need to come ready to sell.
I think that's why we've started to put some sort of questionnaires and process in place to help people understand what ready means. Because I think in some of these transactions, the sellers have thought they were ready, but because they haven't sold anything of that scale in 10, 20, multiple generations, they don't know what ready looks like.
Absolutely. And I think that's a great initiative as well. Again, I think that was shout out to George Pauly. It's this fantastic piece of work, this acquisition readiness questionnaire, to get in front of the sellers early doors to say, right, what are your timelines? Because these are our timelines. What are yours? And just check there's a mismatch there. What state of the title in? Is it registered? Is it not registered?
Are there 17?
Are there 17 of them?
That's a real example.
Yeah. And how does access work? How does private water and drainage and all these other issues? Things that, if you've been living on a estate for generation after generation, you've not had to think about.
It's just the norm, isn't it?
Absolutely. But actually, when somebody's looking to buy, somebody's looking to acquire, we need to do our due diligence, and we need to make sure that all these things are properly regularized and there's formal paperwork for everything in place.
That scenario you described, why it's particularly difficult, is where you get a scenario where a seller wants to sell in 10 minutes, isn't ready, is using a legal firm that they've known for years but don't work in property, don't want to spend any money on legal bills but need it done tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you're like, cool.
Yeah.
Can't do a huge amount. We've had one or two of those, haven't we?
There's been one or two of those, and it can be a combination of, lack of capacity as well, maybe with sellers' teams, and then maybe lack of relevant experience as well, if you've not got somebody that's match fit for this particular job.
Yeah, you can work with a wonderful electrician, but you might not want to ask them to do the plumbing.
Yeah.
Do you have a favourite transaction?
Again, it's very hard to choose because I love
you
them
love them all equally. Yes, you do. Yeah.
I feel very attached to all of them because all of the estates do have their own unique special attributes.
Yeah. They're just characters.
They're just beautiful. They really are. I mean, that's part of why I love what I do. When these brochures come in as well, and they just blow your mind. They are breathtaking, some of them. I do think the Scottish ones. I think thinking about Invergelde, near Comrie in Perthshire. I think of Blackburn, Hartsgarth, part of Laggan covering altogether 22,500 acres.
Sellers, at least 26.
26. And those were just great deals to be part of. I think that was when you and Oxygen Conservation as an organisation as well were able to show the market what you were capable of, and it was. To be able to help facilitate that was just a joy, and to help with that.
You are right. So I immediately went to that conversation going, Invergelde was my favourite because, and it would be amiss if I didn't recognise the incredible effort you and the team put into that, because this is my words, not yours. You did both sides of the legal deal essentially to get it done in 4 weeks with wet signatures and in a way that the family were proud of and happy with, to the point whereby the selling agents rang us and said, it's incredible what you did and what we did to get it over the line were amazing. And so that one was the one that immediately comes to mind as a favourite.
It's very kind. I insist it was a team effort. It really was. And I think the lovely part and why I think of it and look back so fondly on the deals was just that sense of team. Like, I think
so much adrenaline.
Yeah.
But then I think about the Firth of Tay, where I randomly ring up and go, oh, by the way, I bought a salt marsh. And we had to figure that one out, or whether it was actually owned or the Crown had it or all the intricacies around it. Yeah. That one was quite funny. And because that one was done we drove up the same day, bought it overnight and ran back and went, oh, by the way, we've got this one.
Absolutely.
So that was quite exciting. Yeah. Let me go to my next question. So we've been very fortunate to be involved in lots of different parts of Burger Salmon. So you kindly brought me in to do a keynote last year in your environmental week. My favourite part about that is your managing partner. I think this wonderful introduction for me, heavied on the sort of academic back, Dr. Richard Stockdale, etc., etc. And then I opened with, let's be honest, we fucked the planet. And to see his face drop immediately thinking, oh God, and then suddenly go, yes, this is right. And it just completely changed. So I enjoyed that. What's been the impact of working with OC on your sort of wider team, do you think?
It's a huge positive impact. You know, I've got a team of lawyers back in the office that are queuing up to do auction work. You know, there's people that, you know, tapping me up, you know, make sure I'm on the next oxygen deal, because there's something about that drive, that ambition, that energy, and that, you know, in terms of, you know, we were all about wanting to attract great talent, the best talent, and people are more environmentally conscious now, and they want to be part of the solution and the opportunity to work on these types of transaction. You know, in our kind of small way, we want to help and do that. So no, it's had a huge positive impact. And you know, thinking about your visit when you came to see us for Green Week, the feedback was really incredible. It was really stand out, and I think you managed to reach to people, you know, to Burger Salmon at a firm-wide level. And again, it's just that drive and ambition, and I'm totally here for it.
It's very kind, Ross. Thank you. I've never told you this story, but so I'd done a lot of presentations in the weeks leading up to that, and I got bored of my own pitch decks. So what I got Josh to do, shout out to Josh behind the camera, was just give us photos of really brilliant species from different sites. So I didn't know what was coming. So I just hit next slide and told a story about
That's brave.
Well, it was just more fun. I was just getting to do too many of these, and I was like, I didn't want to sound just too repetitive. I wanted it to be authentic, and it was, I remember that story.
Yeah.
And bounce off that one. That is a lovely opportunity for us to take a 5-minute break, and we'll come back. Ross, our team adore you. Like everyone does.
He's sweet.
But genuinely one of the most charming, kind and engaging people we've ever worked with. Sometimes, however, the other Ross needs to come out, right? Sometimes you have had to have sharp elbows in negotiations.
What do you mean?
Well, so I recall certain calls with, and we won't elaborate on which deals, but where you've had to absolutely lay the law down and you go into full-blown serious elbow Ross mode. How do you know when you need to go there?
It's, as I said earlier, my job is about making things happen, and I'm all about collaboration and facilitation and making things happen. I very much view my role as, you know, parties come together, they agree.
Didn't thought you were going to say my role is parties.
That would be fun. But no, parties come together, they agree an outcome, they agree a deal, the heads of terms come my way, or the memorandum of sale, and my job is to make it happen, and to make it happen as efficiently as possible. And on occasion, we've sometimes encountered situations where maybe due to, you know, lack of capacity or lack of engagement or a fixation on problems and not bringing solutions to the table, it has meant that there's been the need to be assertive about timelines and what we've agreed and what we've committed to, and that we all need to roll up our sleeves and put a shift in and make it happen.
It makes me so happy when you do that. It's because usually you have done everything possible to avoid getting to that situation. You tried to do everything.
It's not my go-to. It's not my default position.
I think I've only seen it once or twice.
Yeah.
In 10 transactions.
Yeah.
So, but when you get there, it makes me so happy, and I have to work so hard on the calls not to smile because I'm like, yes, Angry Ross is coming out. So good. So good. So that flips into the other side of what you have to do. So I'm always in awe of how you maintain the level of engagement and warmth you do with us and the selling side, yet cross every T and dot every I. How do you balance that personal skills and relationship with people with the attention to detail you have to bring to every deal?
It's a good question. It's what I do, and it's what I thrive off of, and I love the challenge. I'm one of those lawyers who, you know, give me a box of dusty historic title deeds with spidery, scrawly writing, and I'm in my element. I love that kind of that jigsaw, piecing it all together, making sure all the pieces fit and there aren't any missing pieces, and the whole picture is definitely complete. That's something I really enjoy. And working on complex documents, the sale and the purchase agreements and drafting. These are all the things that I'm really geeky about, and I get a lot out of. There are moments when, you kind of have to take yourself off to a darkened room and the cold wet flannel over the head and whatever else, just to really find the time to focus. Because there has to be that focus time when you are dealing with much, the bigger estates, the ones that can be really heavily fragmented, complex estate titles, and making sure that it all works and it fits together. But no, that's what I enjoy.
So is that your process? The ones where it's a really complicated, a really difficult one, you will just lock yourself away, turn the phone off, close the doors. Is that
I think probably the first step, and I think what's been really effective when we've been doing purchases together, is actually all to get into a room.
Yeah.
And break it down. So, we'll have the plans up on big screens and we'll just walk the boundaries. Yeah. And we'll just check that everything is where we think it is.
Yeah, and triangulate Lara and Chris's data work, mine and Dan's observation on site. Josh will have photos and imagery from it.
Absolutely.
And bring it all together in that way, yeah.
Absolutely. And just asking the question, how did you access this? Where were the access points? And where are the buildings? And particularly maybe one of the issues that we've had to deal with sometimes is maybe a property being carved out of a larger property. What does that look like? Where do the new boundary features go? What are going to be the rights and reservations going back and forth?
Is the river still where it used to be?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. These are natural features and they move, they fluctuate. So, looking at all of that.
Amazing. So I'm going to change topic ever so slightly, Ross. Is it true you own a glitter ball trophy?
It's not a glitter ball, it's a glitter fish.
I didn't realize it's a fish.
It's a glitter fish. It's a Burger Salmon glitter fish.
I thought it was literally the glitter ball
no,
trophy.
It's my glitter fish. If you see me on a Teams call, it's in the corner. It's behind my left shoulder.
Dan's going to be so excited about the fact this
it's a glitter fish. Yeah.
Can you tell the story about how you came to have a glitter fish, please?
I'm not sure the world needs to necessarily know, but we did a Strictly Come Dancing event at Burger Salmon, and we won as the group performance. We did it was a mix of Scottish, Highland, and Ceilidh dancing, fused with Bhangra, and we were we had Bob the bagpiper piping us in to start.
As in Bob, who I've met, Bob.
No, this is the Bob the bagpiper.
Okay, excellent.
A completely different person, but and he was there with the whole regalia, the full Highland dress, the full works, and I need to share the video at some point.
We absolutely do, and also there was a commitment that we'd be doing Burns Night this year.
Absolutely.
Guilted.
Fully.
Which I asked about last year. You shut me down on, and then your other guests had a go at me for not being there in a kilt.
I wasn't shutting you down. I was probably being a bit lazy. It's just a humping the kilt through to London. Yeah. It was one of those things.
Nice. So my other final question, it's a request actually, Ross. Can I come to Glastonbury for a night with you next year? It looks literally the most fun in the world ever. And I think you're the only person that would get me there. But I think I would love to come for it.
You're very welcome. I would love to have you at Glastonbury. I think it's funny because I think you're probably the only client that I share Glastonbury pictures with, dressed as a white rabbit from Alice in Wonderland.
That's got to be the tile for this podcast. It totally has to. I won't do that. Brill. Ross, thank you so much for coming. As I say, you've been an extended member of the team for so long now. We've done so many transactions with you and the team, and I've loved getting to know every one of them and Burger Salmon in general. And hopefully we're going to do umpteen more transactions in the year to come. So that's been your shoot room session. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Bye, guys.